welcome to the latest episode of the Gull Mouth Action Podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton, Hove Albion and Crawley Town. I'm Matt Poll, and this week I'm joined by Brighton writer Darren Howard and Crawley Town expert Mark Dunford. It's been a week of ups and downs for Brighton, who picked up an excellent 2-0 win at Nottingham Forest on Sunday before contriving to throw away a 2-0 lead in a 4-3 home defeat to Aston Villa on Wednesday night. This week we'll look back on a mixed week for Albion, preview their upcoming home clash with West Ham and bring you all the latest from Crawley Town, who also suffered a sickening League Two defeat at Salford City last weekend. You can read all the stories we were talking about, videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. Brighton climbed up to fifth place in the Premier League standings on Sunday with a hard-fought victory against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. Maxim de Kuiper broke the deadlock for the Seagulls in first half added time before Stefanos Tsimas scored off the bench to secure only their second away win of the season after a 3-1 win at Chelsea in September. Darren, it certainly went a little bit of a way, shall we say, not the full way, to banishing last 7-0 defeat at the City Ground. Some of that Seagulls performance up for us. It sounded like it was quite a professional performance by all accounts.
Yeah, it was indeed. It was they played very well, and they were solid for a change as well. They battled and they started the game really well. They dominated possession, played some really nice football at times as well. And I was really pleased for Maxim de Kuiper because he played higher up on the left flank. They had Kadioglu at left back and then de Kuiper as the left wing. He was signed as a left back, but he looked really dangerous on the left flank, and he delivered some lovely balls into the box as well, which could have created a couple of early goals before they actually took the lead. And it was through de Kuiper, who came in off the left flank and then finished nicely with his right foot just before half time. And it was a well-deserved lead for Brighton. They were far the better team. But then after the break, they had to really soak up a lot of pressure. Sean Dyche's team, you could just sort of see them. You wouldn't say they played flowing football, but it was just like they just kept squeezing Brighton back. And it was a real grind to sort of keep them at bay. But they defended very well, to be fair, which hasn't always been the case with Brighton. And they invested a lot into the game. It was quite an energy-sapping game, and emotionally as well, after everything that happened with the 7-0 as well. So, and I think that had an impact. We'll talk about it a bit later, but that had an impact on the Villa game as well. I think they were a bit spent after a while for that. But then Tsimas at the City Ground, he came off the bench for Danny Welbeck and scored his first Premier League goal. And he worked very hard, actually, as well. He made a big impact. I was speaking to Sam about this after the match. It wasn't only his goal, it was how well he worked as well. When he came off the bench, he never gave the defence a moment's peace. He looked really sharp, and then he deservedly scored the goal, which sealed the victory. And the celebrations from the bench as well was quite something. So it was a good day all round for Brighton and their fans.
Yes, it was indeed. And as you mentioned, it was a good day for Brighton's Greek teenager, who has had to wait for his chances, but he seized that with both hands, didn't he, in the win at Forest. He came on for Welbeck, informed Danny Welbeck, and he capitalised on a poor defensive header from Forest centre-back Morato to seal the victory with 2 minutes remaining at the City Ground. We'll assume that Welbeck, if he continues his fine form, will probably lead the line for Brighton for quite a while, but it must be nice for Hertzela to have another exciting option to turn to in attack. I know that he come off injured though against Villa, which might hold his progress a bit.
Yeah, well, it's a real blow actually, Matt, because we just finished with Fabian Hertzela's press conference this morning, and he's going to be ruled out for some time. Unfortunately, it's looking like a long-term injury, which is a huge blow, because he was, as you say, he was just getting up to speed, and he would have been the perfect guy to come in for, with Welbeck, 35 now. So you need somebody who's going to come in and bring that energy, whether he starts a few games or whether he's coming off the bench. And Tsimas was just starting to show that he was that person. And then it looked fairly innocuous. He was closing down the Aston Villa left back, and something just went in his knee. He hobbled off. Jack Hinchelwood came on, and the scans haven't really revealed much, anything positive. And Herzella said this morning he's going to be on the sidelines for a lengthy period, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a shame. It seems that I can't speak about one Greek lad without mentioning their other Greek teenager, Darren. But what's the latest from Kostoulas? I must admit, I've not really seen his name floating around in recent weeks.
He's been used very sparingly. So he's another one who's getting up to speed. And this is the thing with the squad, with Tissimas's injury, that could then create an opportunity for Kostoulas now to come in and really push for his. So unfortunate for Tissimas, but it could open a door for Kostoulas now to come in and be that second choice behind Danny Welbeck. He was probably a little bit behind Tissimas in terms of getting up to speed in the Premier League, but he's shown flashes of what he can do. He scored that header against Manchester United when he came on as a substitute. He came on in the later stages against Aston Villa as well. And you can really see a player there. He's very fiery. He's skillful, but he first and foremost he works hard for the team as well, which is a given. If you're going to get anywhere near Fabian Herzella's first team, you're going to have to press. You're going to have to harry. But when he gets his opportunity, he's shown in glimpses that he can take his chances as well. So hopefully he can push on. Whether he's going to be involved against West Ham, he might come off the bench again against West Ham coming up. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Watch this space. We're now going to look at the Villa game. So if you want to make yourself a cup of tea, we've got a lot of things to run through. Well, after their excellent win at Forest, the Seagulls unfortunately dropped back to 7th as Aston Villa, as we said, fought back from 2-0 behind to win a 7-goal thriller at the Amex on Wednesday evening. Villa suffered a nightmare start as an error from goalkeeper Marco Bezout, a late replacement for Emilio Martinez, and Pau Torres' own goal saw Brighton go 2-0 up after 29 minutes. But Ollie Watkins' double, which ended his 11-game goal drought, sensationally brought Villa level before half-time. Villa completed the comeback through Amadou Onana's 60th-minute header before substitute Donyell Malen scored with his first touch to give Villa a 2-goal lead in the 78th minute. Brighton threatened a comeback of their own as Jan-Paul van Heck scored his second of the game just 5 minutes later, but Albion just could not find an equaliser. Yes, take a breath there. Very chaotic game. Sum that Albion performance up for us. I think most of us, and I include myself in this, saw Seagulls are 2-0 up. They're going to cruise this now. But
They just completely lost their bearings, and at the end of the first half, it started so well. They looked really on the front foot, and their home record, you just thought they've gone 2-0 up. They've got a brilliant home record. They're going to hopefully see this one out, if not score more. It was they just looked so dominant, and eventually Aston Villa got back into it. Unai Emery was just going absolutely mad in his technical area. I sent a tweet out. It'd be great to see his heat map in the technical area, because he was just pacing, gesturing, and eventually that energy got through to the Villa midfield, and they started to cover as much ground as Emery did, I think, in the end. And Ollie Watkins got 2 goals. He had a chance in the first half, and it was quite an unconvincing finish. And the Brighton crowd were really on his back. And I just thought, no, don't do that. That's bound to come back. And they were saying, like, oh, you're just a rubbish, with a few expletives, Danny Welbeck. And I just thought, oh, no, that's going to...
Don't do it.
And sure enough, he scored twice just before half-time to get Aston Villa back into the match. And to me, Brighton had just lost their way so much. It was no surprise when Villa started the second half so well. They completely overpowered Brighton. And then it was, they went 3 up, then 4 up. Van Hecker got one from distance to bring it back. And then Welbeck had a chance just towards the end. He came off the bench, and Bazou, who made the error for the first goal, he then delivered a world-class save to keep out Danny Welbeck.
Amazing save, wasn't it?
It was, really, really agile, athletic save to keep it out. And so Brighton were up to, when they were 2-0 up, they were up to 3rd in the Premier League, and that the defeat just knocked them back down to 7th. So So yeah, fine margins, but they brought it on themselves, and I think there was something to do. I think they invested so much into the Forest game that they were a little bit spent. They lacked the legs. They missed Yassin Ayari as well. He's a very underrated player in their midfield. Covers so much ground and just gives them so much legs in midfield. He was injured for this one. Jorginho was injured as well. And I think they missed a pair of them in those central areas. They just got a little bit overpowered by sort of the likes of Morgan Rogers, Onana in the Villa midfield. So yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned the margins there, Darren. Fabian Hetzler himself in his post-match interview said that fine margins made a difference at the Amex. What margins do you think Hetzler was referring to? And of those margins he may well be referring to, do you think it's something that could prove to be a recurring issue for Albion? Because, I mean, I can't remember the last time Albion collapsed like that. It was quite something, to be fair.
No, that's right. And they've been much more solid of late. Their goals against column is not great this season, but the last few matches, you just think, they might have turned a corner here, and they've had a bit of consistency in their defensive back line. Van Hecke, Dunk, and then Kadioglu on the left, who's been excellent this season. Matt Swift has been on the right back, which there's still many fans are still a bit unconvinced with her at right back, but he offers a lot. When he's with the ball, he can drive forward into the midfield, and he looks good. But I saw a stat. I think he's the most dribbled past defender in the league at the moment. So crazy, yeah. I think 19 times he's been dribbled past this season, which. Yeah, he's still adapting to that role. He's still learning. He was brought as a central midfielder. And my thoughts have been for a while to play Veltman at right back where he's solid, and then put Whiffer into the central midfield instead of Carlos Baliba, who's still way off the pace. But yeah, but when you ask about the fine margins, I just think it was concentration and just sticking together as a team. They did it against Tottenham as well, where when they're up against quite a powerful side, they just lost their way towards the end of the first half, and it's just about that concentration and keeping the gaps at a minimum. And they just looked way too open at times, and it was often long balls over the top from Ollie Watkins, which caught them out. So it kind of ruined Lewis Dunk's 500th appearance for Brighton. So it was quite an occasion for him, but it was all looking so good until they lost their way.
Oh dear. Hopefully when he gets to his 1,000th game, Darren, he'll have more of a happier outcome. This Sunday sees the Seagulls entertain West Ham United in the Premier League. West Ham picked up a morale-boosting point at Manchester United last night. How do you see this one going, Darren? And how are Brighton's stat going into this one?
So, yeah, there's a few injuries. In the press conference as well, the talk before the Nottingham Forest game was, you were battered 7-0 at Nottingham Forest. How are you gonna adapt to that? And you thought, he's not going to have to answer any more questions about that. But then, obviously, Nuno Espirito, he was a manager at Forest at the time, and now he's at West Ham. So Hetzler was then asked the question, you were beaten 7-0 by Nuno last time, so you're going to have to get your revenge. And he sort of rolled his eyes as if to say, I've done all this last week. But, so, yeah, they're up against that. But I think West Ham, they're still in the relegation zone. It's going to be a bit of a battle, and Brighton are going to have to get their energy back from what they lacked against Aston Villa. They're going to have to really find some legs and freshen their midfield up in particular. Hopefully Yassin Ayari will be fit. Karam Matoma suffered a setback in training this week. He hasn't played since the 3-1 win at Chelsea. So hopefully he's going to be back in time, but it's looking a bit unlikely at the moment. Yassin Ayari, as I say, hopefully be back. Jorginho will hopefully be back as well, and then obviously Stefanos Tsitsipas will be absent for that one.
Excellent stuff. Well, best of luck to Brighton this weekend. Now we'll look at Crawley Town, and if you've already made a cup of tea, maybe it's time to hang the washing out, because this one is again one where I can ramble on and on and on. Crawley Town contrived to throw away a 3-2 lead to lose 4-3 at Salford City in League Two on Saturday, as we mentioned at the top of the podcast. Crawley opened the scoring after 33 minutes when the Salford defender Adebola Oluwo deflected Jay Williams' shot into his own net. But the centre-back atoned for his own goal as he drew Salford level in first half stoppage time. Harry McCurdy's penalty miss was compounded when Matt Butcher netted to give Salford a 53rd minute lead. The visitors turned the game on its head as Harry Forster and Williams put Scott Lindsay's side in front with 18 minutes left. But this topsy-turvy game took another dramatic twist when Josh Osterfield headed home after 85 minutes to set up a grandstand finish. Salford completed the remarkable turnaround a moment later when Cisse coolly swept home under pressure to seal victory. Another roller coaster, Mark. An absolute sickener, though, for Crawley. Sum that Crawley performance up, I imagine Scott Lindsay was tearing his hair out at the end of that.
I imagine he was. Yeah, it was a funny one because I wasn't actually there. I was away this weekend, but I was following it on Flash Score, and my wife was fed up with me, I think, saying, "Oh, Crawley have gone 3-2 up. Oh no, like that sort of thing." It's amazing how Crawley losing 2 goals in the last 7 minutes of a game can really affect your day in Barcelona. So, but it's absolutely crazy. I mean, Scott Lindsay. Yeah, we'll get onto his comments in a bit, but yeah, he was. I think he was. Yeah, he was lost for words at the end. He just didn't know what happened, and they'd done so well because. I mean, I've read a load of comments from Salford fans who were saying that probably one of the best teams they've played this season, sort of thing, entertaining-wise. But what does that mean if they're not winning? I mean, yes. I watch Crawley almost every week, and they are one of the best teams to watch in League Two. But what's the point if you're not going to win? I mean, trust the you got to trust the process and know that it'll all click at one time. But they didn't have Charlie Barker this time because he was suspended. He picked up too many yellow cards. So it was a bit of a different defence. And it was the final goal that was the most frustrating because Salford could obviously smell blood. And they had loads of people pressing the defender, and they was trying to play across the back of the fence. And I think Scott Lindsay was just hoping somebody would welly it upfield or play it through the press like they normally do. But it was, really, really frustrating because going into this 10-day break they have now, or they had sort of 5 days left of that now, they could have done with that 3-pointer, would have given them such a boost. I don't think it actually would have put them higher up in the table, but obviously it would have given them taken them up to 20 points level with Barrow, I think, in the League Two table. But so frustrating considering the season, but it sort of kind of sums up their season to some extent. They played really well, created loads of chances, actually scored goals this time, but this time is the defence and lack of concentration at the end that let them down.
Yeah, so as you rightly said, Scott Lindsay admitted he was lost for words, after the defeat Salford, and I think most Red fans would probably agree with him there. What else did Lindsay have to say in his post-Salford interview, Mark? And where do you think that the Reds? Where did he think, that the Reds got it wrong in Greater Manchester?
Yeah, well, he said it was basically down to game management. He said it just was. I don't think the game management was good. I thought we rushed things when we were winning. It's like we're not streetwise enough. I don't understand that. I really do not understand that last 7 minutes. I'm lost for words, to be honest with you. I think we got ourselves in such a good position and we do that. It just doesn't make sense to me. And they did it in the EFL Trophy against Peterborough when they had them 1-0 when they were going to take the game to penalties. And they just switched off again at the end there and left a player unmarked to score a last-minute winner. And it is just sticking to that end. And I think he just can't believe that they've done it again, kind of thing. He's such a hard taskmaster, Scott Lindsay. He has his way of playing, and I sense he is streetwise. I sense he knows how to win a game of football, but I think it's just because of the mentality in the season they've had. It's difficult getting it into the player's head. You are this good. You can win games, and because they keep getting blows like this, I think it does affect the mentality, and they're scared of not. Well, how do I put it? Not scared of winning, but scared of not thrown away. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying. Yeah, God, this is a good podcast, isn't it? But they're too scared of throwing away a lead that they sort of plays into the opposition's hands.
It's a mentality issue. In a way.
I think it must be. It absolutely must be, because like Scott Lindsay said, he just doesn't understand it. I mean, if he could see, right, we never didn't deserve to win that game and we threw it away. I understand why we didn't win it in the end, but he just can't. And I don't think most of the fans could either. So very, very frustrating. But game management. And you see a lot of teams. It was like Accrington. They weren't a great footballing side, but you could tell they were streetwise, and it was a difficult day that day. They drew 1-1 and they just did enough, Accrington. They held on, got the goal they wanted, and then managed to hold on to a draw. And other teams do look like they have that more experience, streetwise know-how, how to get points, how to win games, and how to see games out. But Crawley just don't seem to have that at the moment.
Is it an age thing? I don't know, because Crawley have historically had quite young squads, but is this year's team particularly young? Is that a factor, do you think?
I think there are elements. There are young. It is a relatively young squad, and whether Scott Lindsay still says this in November, they're a new squad together kind of thing. But you got Bajrami, who was playing in defence. Jay Williams is still only 24, but he's had 3 seasons now at this level. Josh Flint, relatively young, but he's had 3 seasons, almost 2 seasons now. So you could say that, but you got Harry McCurdy as well, experienced player. We'll get onto him in a minute.
We will.
But I don't know. I don't think you can put it down to age now, because there is enough experience in that squad. You look at like Harry Forster and Adi Adeyemo. They both were seen as like unknowns a couple of seasons ago, but now they're the seasoned. They've got 2 or 3 seasons behind them. They came in when Scott Lindsay was first here. So, I don't think that is. I think it is just everything seems to be going against them at the moment, and anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it's something, they just need that bit of luck where they get a last-minute winner when they haven't played well or something like that, that will really make them believe.
Well, speaking of bad luck for the Reds, and it's something I must admit I kind of brushed over in the match summary, the Reds' penalty spot woes continued on Saturday. Crawley were ordered a penalty in the opening minute of the second half, but Salford goalkeeper Matthew Young kept out Harry McCurdy's spot kick with a fine diving save. It's not the first time they've had issues this season with the penalty spot, is it, Mark? Why have they struggled so from spot kicks? Has it been like a rotating cast of penalty takers that's been the issue? I was also going to ask what the fans thought of McCurdy's miss, but I'm almost frightened to ask you what the responses would have been.
Yes, because as soon as a game finishes, I always look on the forums and the Facebook pages and just have a look, and a lot of it was just like, take this man off penalties now kind of thing. Because he missed one against Walsall as well earlier in the season in that draw, and Ryan Loft missed one against Bristol Rovers. So 3 penalties they've missed this year. The Bristol Rovers one didn't really matter because they were winning that comfortably anyway, or won that game comfortably in the end. But this one and the one against Walsall could have potentially been 3 points. So that's what. Because they drew that one, I can't do maths that quickly, 4 points, 4 or 5 points they could have potentially got from those games. So it was, I think what people, because I saw a few people saying he looks so lazy when he takes a penalty, McCurdy. And he's not lazy, and people will see that from the game, but I think it's just his demeanour. I think I said in pre-season, it's the long sleeve, holding your sleeves over your hands kind of thing. I said it pre-season when I first started watching him play. He doesn't look like your typical footballer, and he doesn't run like your typical footballer, and he doesn't act like your typical footballer. But Scott Lindsay will tell you he cares so much, and all he wants to do is score goals. I mean, I've talked to him after games, and he says, as long as I'm scoring, I'm happy. So this will hurt him and frustrate him as much as the fans, if not more. But, do you take him off? Or I think from the way you spit, Scott Lindsay talks about Harry McCurdy, I can't imagine he will tell Harry McCurdy, you're not on penalties anymore. I think he will just work harder and at it. But it is frustrating. And going back to that mentality thing, just everything's going against them. Is there a block in your head? I missed the last one. Am I going to score this one? But, it's difficult. But a little quiz for you two. Who do you know how many penalties in their career that Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney missed? Damn, I've asked that the wrong way round. I've asked it wrong, that question, but anyway.
Ask it again.
So, no, because I can't ask it now because you know the answers. But, yeah, they are the two players that have missed the most penalties in Premier League history, Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer.
Oh, is that right?
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So would Alex Ferguson or David Moyes taken Wayne Rooney off penalties? Would have whoever was in charge of Newcastle and Blackburn have taken Alan Shearer off penalties? Probably not.
So you look at a recent example of Bruno Fernandes was missed quite a few penalties in a row, didn't he?
That was my next question. Which Premier League player has missed 2 penalties this season? Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
This has gone very well on my pop quiz. But it is good players miss penalties. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to get to. So,
Yeah.
I think Scott Lindsay will continue to trust him to take penalties unless someone in training sort of steps up and says, I can score penalties better than him and does it.
Yeah.
But obviously because they haven't got a game this week, we haven't spoken to Scott yet. But on Monday, I'll be asking him about penalty takers and that. I'm sure if I said, are you going to take McCurdy off penalties now, he will just give me a one-word answer and say, no, I won't. Because he will always back the players. So, but yeah, very, very frustrating. And like I say, it could turn out vital towards the end of the season with how tight it is at the bottom of that League Two table. Yeah,
absolutely. And as you mentioned, the Reds now have a break until Tuesday, the 9th of December, when they travel to Bromley. It might be a bit of a silly question, but how happy do you think Scott Lindsay will be to have a break after the manner of the Salford defeat? I imagine that he is desperate to get out on the pitch and right a few wrongs, but at the same time, a break could have its benefits, couldn't it? Iron out a few kinks.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always one that says, oh, yeah, I want to get back on the pitch as soon as they've lost a game, or if they've even won a game, they just want to keep playing football. But he did actually say after the Salford game, we need a break from each other because I can't cope with that last 7 minutes. I'm so frustrated with that. So I think he just needed some time apart. And because I asked him before the Salford game, does the performance and the result dictate the schedule for the 10 days break? And he said, yes, it does, because he gave them certain targets for running and effort and etc. I mean, I don't think the result matters that much, but the manner of the result probably just thought, right, I need to get away from this from a couple of days now. Because going back to the performance, they did play well for long, long periods. I mean, I think Ron Alderman, who was doing the player ratings, contacted Steve Bone and said, what do I do about the player ratings? Because they've done so well for 85 minutes or whatever, and they've thrown it away. And we just said you can only give what you see. For 83 minutes, if someone's given 9 out of 10 performance, you give them 9 out of 10, unless goals were directly their fault at the end. But yeah, I think the break has come at a good time because of that result. It gives them a little chance to reset before a really busy Christmas period. And it gives a chance to play because they've had a lot of injuries. I think it will give a few players a bit of that extra time and give them time to get players back on the grass training properly before they take on Bromley on Tuesday.
Yeah, and we'll look ahead to that game. At the time of recording, Bromley currently sit 5th in League Two. And this will all change, obviously, by the time they play Crawley, but they're currently 5 points adrift of pace setters Walsall. Another tough game for Crawley Town, Mark. And at the moment, you'd think this isn't one that would necessarily favour them. How do you see this one going, and how are the Reds looking on the injury front at present?
Well, we haven't actually caught up with Scott Lindsay yet, so in terms of injuries, you hope a couple of players come back. But Dion Pereira came on as against Salford, which was good news. He came back from international duty with a knock, but he's hopefully back in action now and back in ready to go. But the others, you had Kyle Scott. We know Max Anderson's out for a long time. Charlie Barker will be back from suspension. So hopefully we'll see a few players back, but it's not going to be easy as against Bromley. They look impressive. They got the league's second top scorer in Michael Cheek. I spoke to a couple of people and they say he is the best striker in League Two. They think he's really, really good. So he's always a handful. And you've got Nick Kabamba with 6 goals, Omar Sawani with 5 goals. So there's a few. And they've got Mitch Pinnock, who's the second highest assister in the league with 6 assists. So they've got goals from everywhere. They've got a creator in Mitch Pinnock, sorry. So it's not going to be easy. They look good this year. They score a lot of goals. And as we've seen, Crawley are susceptible to conceding goals. So it could be another 4-3. It could be either way. But yeah, good news is Crawley are scoring goals now. They've always been creating a lot of chances, but haven't been able to finish. They're scoring goals now. Hopefully that will change at Bromley, but they've just got to shore up the other. And having Charlie Barker back will help. But yeah, it's a tough task, especially if they'd held on to that lead or even got away with a point at Salford, it would have given them a big boost. But yeah, that's a big blow. They've had 10 days to clear their heads, so hopefully they've reset and they will go into this fresh and confident.
Absolutely. Best of luck to Crawley when they make the trip to Bromley. And as ever, we round out the score predictions, starting with Brighton v West Ham in the Premier League on Sunday. Start with you, Darren. Brighton are going to be desperate for a win there, aren't they? I fear that West Ham might be on for a bit of a hiding with having to kiss of death on it.
If they can get their energy back, I think they should have enough to beat West Ham. Although West Ham did fight back to draw 1-1 at Manchester United yesterday, so they're nowhere near as good as Aston Villa, but I still think it's going to be tricky. And it'd be interesting to see if Lucas Paquetá returns as well. He was obviously suspended for the Manchester United game after his meltdown against Liverpool. So whether he will be in the team against Brighton, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go a 2-2, I think. I just don't see Brighton on their... Yeah, I can't see them recovering in quick enough time to really be at their best. So, and I think West Ham are going to be very motivated. So I'm going to go 2-2.
I wasn't expecting that level of pessimism from Darren Mark.
No.
I'm very surprised.
I was going to be optimistic. I was going to go 3-1 Brighton. They've got quite a good record against West Ham, haven't they?
They do. Yeah, they've been good against West Ham in the past, yeah. Yeah,
but West Ham, like you say, are improving. But I think Brighton at home, I think they're going to win 3-1. I'm going for it.
That's what we like to hear. And jumping ahead to next week, as we mentioned, Crawley are off to Bromley next Tuesday in League 2. I think we predicted, was it 5-5 Salford Crawley last weekend? I mean, we're far off. How do you see this one panning out? I think we could be on for a similarly high-scoring game again.
I think we will. It's a very tough task, but I'm always trying to be optimistic. I'm going to go for a 3-3 draw.
3-3 draw. Entertainment guaranteed.
Yeah. Cheek will get a hat-trick. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Darren?
Yeah, well, they've had a bit of time to recover from their last one, so I'm going to go 2-1 to Crawley. I think they might just sneak a win.
Fabian Herzeller will be on the phone. Why aren't you predicting me a win?
I know.
Yeah.
What have you got against him? I think he's got bigger problems. He's got bigger problems than speaking to me at the moment.
If you're watching, Fabian, we love you really.
We do.
Excellent stuff. Brilliant. Thank you very much for this week, chaps. Don't forget you can catch up with all this latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk/more. My thanks to Mark and Darren for joining us this week, and thanks to you for listening and watching, and we will see you all next week.